Welcome, fellow splitting geniuses, to another informative episode of Splitting Smart. We're back with exclusive insights, expert advice on all things divorce and well-being. I'm your host, Laila Aiken Ali, and I'm joined by my co-founder and co-host, Heather Steer. At Split.fyi, we believe that knowledge is power, and we're committed to empowering you with the informative information and tools that you need to make smart, informed decisions as you navigate the world of divorce and well-being and life in general. Today, we're excited to share this space with Gordon Stein. And Gordon's financial insights and expertise will walk us through ways to maximize and master financial freedom with minimal effort. And that's the key word, minimal effort, with some cliff notes from his amazing book, Cashflow Cookbook.
And Gordon Stein is an international keynote speaker, blogger, and personal finance expert. And as mentioned earlier, he is the author of Cashflow Cookbook, $2 million of financial freedom in 60 easy recipes. He delivers transformational talks that help people crush their number one stress, their finances, which is always one of the number one concerns for people going through divorce. Building financial wellness helps his audience regain focus, balance, and joy in their lives. Whether you're facing the financial challenges of divorce or simply seeking to improve your financial well-being, Gordon's insights are sure to inspire and equip you with valuable strategies to achieve your goals. So sit back, get ready to take some notes, and let's welcome Gordon Stein to Splitting Smart.
Thanks very much, Heather. Yeah, great to be here. Good to see you, Lila.
Yeah, so happy that you're here because this is such an important conversation for a lot of us. Not everyone is financially literate as Heather here. Okay, so I am a big chunk of your audience, and also going through the divorce, it was overwhelming to such a degree because you really have to do a crash course on a lot of things. Navigating a new life and a whole nother financial outlook. Right. So thank you for being here and kickstarting this important conversation.
Oh, it's great to be here. I've been divorced as well. So I think, we all know the drill. It's much bigger than you think when you start. Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, sadly, we have to do that. But, the finances can really take a hit. And, most people aren't in great shape on their finances anyway. And of course, when you get divorced, you chop whatever you had in half. So then you got to get that much smarter with money, but that's exactly what we're going to fix today.
Mm-hmm. I always say that Exciting. 1 plus 1 doesn't even equal 2 in divorce. Like it just never quite keeps up with it. So it's so helpful to be able to find these recipes and ideas and thoughts of how to recapture some of that and just refine tune, into our next life. So next chapter.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So yeah, that's what we want to do. And a lot of people think that fixing their finances, it's onerous, it's painful. You got to give up things you love. You've got to do detailed financial budgeting, which everybody enjoys. Right. And I think the reality is not at all. I think you can make some simple changes, free up a lot of cash flow, use that money to pay down debt or use that money to build incremental investing and accelerate your wealth building and set yourself up for a fun life and a great retirement. I think you can do both.
Yeah. And I want to start with, because I've come back to now on this and during a couple of our conversations with some of the most interesting financial statistics out there of what shape people are in the world, whether from the millennials to Gen X to older people, because when you threw those stats out, they were shocking to me, like really shocking.
It really is incredible. And maybe the starkest one of all of them is that 64% of Americans will retire with less than $10,000.
Wow. How do you even retire?
You don't. I mean, you're on welfare. You're going to have your kids supporting you. It just doesn't add up. But this is the reality. And if you go, that's sort of at the end of the line in our lives as we retire. But even go back to, car loans. When I left college, you could have a 36-month car loan or a 48-month car loan. The average now here in the US is a 72-month car loan, but the 96-month car loan is gaining in popularity, the 8-year car loan. So imagine you buy a gasoline-powered car now when you go to trade it in, there'll be people gathering in the showroom looking at the tailpipe going, what is this?
Exactly.
What's this dinosaur?
So obsolete.
Obsolete.
It's underwater. It's
well, a third of the people bringing their trade-in cars are underwater, meaning they owe more on the car than the car is worth. I was just getting my car fixed today, and there's a big sign that says, on the spot financing of your car repairs. So, you see this sort of lending coming down to smaller and smaller increments. With the Apple card, credit card, you can buy something for $9 and finance it over time.
Oh, yeah.
So you just see this mess, and then this constant barrage of things to getting us to buy, and to buy more, and things that are just irresistible. Marketers doing functional MRIs to figure out which jingles are going to fire up our synapses to make us want to buy. And as we still have the same reptile brains we had millions of years ago, right? But the marketers get sharper and sharper, and we just get dragged into the hole. And so we get into these very tough financial situations. But the whole point of Cashflow Cookbook and all the work and all the speaking I've done over the last several years is to show people an easier way, some simple hacks, ways that make a material difference in your monthly spend without giving up anything. And that's where it really starts to shine.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about it's what is it, $13,000 a month in savings in ideas in this book. And, and I love how it's written. I love the dollar signs and how much money you're going to save, and then the whisk for how much work it's going to take or, effort and planning. But I think it would be great to go through a few of the easy ones, like even in the story that you write, which is important. You read the first 50 pages is a story of a couple that's gone through and really employed a lot of these recipes, right? And put them to work. And like the clothing one is always kind of an obvious-ish one, but how they employed it was perfect. Deployed it.
Yeah, there's so many. So, the sort of obvious thing to start is shopping things. There's nothing more simple than that. A little bit of comparison shopping. So I'll give you a few personal examples. One is something like car insurance, home insurance, term life insurance. All of these things are easy to compare. There's great tools online now. Car and home insurance, you can either go onto one of the sites like Insurify that lets you do the comparison across, get multiple quotes, takes 10, 15 minutes, or you can work with an independent agent. So an insurance firm that has a number of different carriers they can deploy. Goosehead Insurance would be an example of that. And the last time I did it, I worked actually with Goosehead Insurance. I don't get any commission from them. And I gave them my information. They shopped it amongst a number of carriers. $2,000 a year I saved, just like that.
Yeah.
And here's the key. It was a phone call, right? And how much did my lifestyle change? Not at all. What did I give up? Absolutely nothing, but $2,000 a year more to invest. And depending on your age, that can make a massive difference. So that's, a 15-minute phone call, and you can make those changes. So things like cell phone plans and car insurance, home insurance. And, a lot of people look at this and they'll say, well, yeah, I get you on the cell phone. I don't want to get on the phone with these people. I'll be on the phone for an hour. To which I would say, okay, well, if you're on the phone for an hour and you can save $100 a month, that's $17,300 if you invest that $100 a month, 7% over 10 years. That's pretty good. Now, if you were to invest that $100 a month over 20 years, that's more like $54,000. So I don't know what you do in 1 hour that gets you $54,000. So if you make more than that in your job, then don't bother. Just stay with your job. If you don't make $54,000 an hour at your job, then take the hour and make those calls. So I explain exactly how to do all of these things in Cashflow Cookbook, but just even some simple shopping as a quick way to go can be really powerful. There's $300-400 a month available right there. No problem.
So the nuance in part of what you put out there is that one is you should be investing this money and saving it, not reallocating it to other categories and continuing to spend. Now, there may be part of these expenses that you simply need to increase your cash flow for living, right? But once you get to that point, and you're still continuing to figure out ways of savings. Because by the way, you guys, this is very addictive. Like when you start getting these things, you're like, oh, I want to do more of these things. Like I'm really excited about this. So then once you get to the point where your baseline expenses are covered, if you are kind of in a recovery mode, then the key is to put the money into a savings or investment account so that you get that compounding return that Gordon is talking about.
Right.
Yeah, get it out of your hands as quickly as you can,
and potentially get off of Amazon one click wonder too, because that's too easily done as well.
Yeah. And what I would do, I think a simple way to do it is think of your expenses in two big categories. So one is those monthly recurring expenses, car insurance, home insurance, house taxes, maybe life insurance, cell phone bills, all of these things that come out of and all of your utilities, your gas and electric and water, all of these things that are coming out of your account every month. And they're pretty much the same number every month. I would start with all of those because there's nothing emotional about it. If I free up $100 a month on my electricity, okay, I didn't give up my latte. I didn't touch my glass of red wine at the end of the day. That all stays put for now. Let's focus on these things. And I would say, if you're in sort of the mass affluent space, I would say it's pretty easy to find $1,000 a month in that stuff. And I like the idea of putting all of those bills, pay them out of a bill account, a separate account, automatic payments on everything. The bill comes right out. Now you don't have, there's nothing to be budgeting with all of these things. They just come out every month anyway. You need electricity, you need natural gas in your home, you need all these things. So put that in a bill account. And for argument's sake, whatever the number is, let's say those things are $3,000 a month, $4,500, whatever the number is, as you free it up, that's money that you put into your incremental savings and investing. So you haven't touched yet your discretionary money, the groceries and, your glass of wine and your lattes and all that clothing and all that. That's a separate whole thing. We'll get to that. But start with this easy stuff and you can make a huge difference.
And I like the fact that it's not an emotional tie because there is a psychological warfare that goes on in all of us. It's like, but we kind of deserve it. We work hard. We should be able to afford this. We should be able to go for that latte. We should be able to go for a nice dinner. Why not buy that nice bag? I mean, there's a lot of that, internal because we work hard and you're working more hard for that money, right? So, and I like that you start somewhere that you're like, I'm not tied into what these are the things that I need. Really, it's great for the psyche for a lot of people to buy into that first.
Yeah.
And then you get that flavor.
Yeah, I'll give you another example that is probably relevant for a lot of your listeners. So I got prescribed a statin drug, cholesterol lowering. And so I went to one of the big drugstore chains and, with my prescription, and they came back and said, well, it's $107 a month. I said, whoa, I got to take these forever. And pharmacist said, yeah. I said, well, it's $107 a month. I mean, it's not going to break me, but that's a fair bit of money every month for the rest of my life. And so she said, well, why don't you get one of our drug cards? I said, what will that do? She goes, well, then your pills are $63 a month, $107 to $63. And we can remember, this is forever, right? It's not a one-time thing. This is every month. I said, well, how much is the drug card? It's $20 a year. So I just asked the question, right? So isn't this amazing? I'm saving that's $500 a year I'm saving by just asking. These are a little expensive. Right? No yelling, no haggling, no nothing. So I was out for dinner that night with my brother-in-law, and I'm telling him how smart I am with this great idea to save on prescription drugs. He says, no. He says, you want to go to GoodRx.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, what's that? So he gives me the deal on GoodRx. You get the card and then you go to the drugstore.
Which is free, but it's an app.
Yeah, on your phone. It's amazing. Yeah.
So my pills are $13.88. So I'm thinking if you go from 107 to 63 to $13.88, we're probably not done yet. So I do another 10 minutes of Googling around. I find this blinkhealth.com.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I get my pills for $7 a month delivered to my house. That's postage in. And then strangely, they just recently changed the price to $6 a month. I don't even know why. So we go from 107 to $6 a month. I did a blog post on cashflowcookbook.com, how I saved 94% on my prescription drugs. And my lifestyle changed? Not one bit.
Actually, it improved. You didn't have to go to the pharmacy every month to pick up your prescription.
And wait in that horrible line. I
It showed
know.
up at
to
your
your,
doorstep.
to your point on these things being addictive, and once you get the headspace, it's not about being cheap. I mean, I want nice guitars. I buy nice guitars, great kayaks,
Mhm.
beautiful bikes, lovely car, 2,600 square foot home. I don't cut any corners.
Mhm.
I've lived every part of the book. And what happens is you have money, if I want to buy a nice guitar, I buy a nice guitar,
Mhm.
but I'm not wasting money on electricity, prescription drugs, cell phone, all of these things. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
Completely.
it really does. Well, I mean, this is awesome. And I do want to leave a little teaser because we are going to go live on Facebook next week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same time, noon in our on our Facebook page at Split.fyi.
Dive
And
into a couple more of these recipes from the cookbook. And I encourage all of you, if you haven't bought the book already, buy the book before we go live next week. And
we
always
can put
post
it
the
in
questions.
in
Yeah.
the chat notes on this. I'm seeing some people interact with us, so that's great.
Yay. Amazing. And then that way that if you have any questions for Gordon as well, and we're going to have in September an amazing workshop, a deep dive in.
Yeah.
So, get your pencils out, get the cookbook out.
Well, and that should be an interactive workshop as well. So
Yeah, it
you'll be
is.
able to come in and really talk about your circumstances and maybe get some ideas for helping you.
Mhm.
All that. And the book has a Canadian edition as well. So you may have caught the odd oot and a boot. I'm from Canada originally. I'm now living in the great state of Ohio, but there's a US edition and a Canadian edition of Cashflow Cookbook, all available on Amazon.
And it's
So
in the corner. You look for your appropriate flag.
exactly. Yeah, great.
This has been great. Thank you, Gordon.
A pleasure to be on. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for
You
another
bet.
live.
Super appreciate you, Gordon.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks.